girls. Today we are going to be looking at perimeter and area, looking at some of the similarities and differences. But first, I want to see what you guys already know about perimeter and area. So I've got little sections already sectioned off for you guys. So I want you to write or draw at least 2 things that you already know about perimeter and area, or something you think you know. Okay, now we're going to go around and talk about what you drew and what you wrote and just see what we already know. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So I wrote that I think to find the area, you multiply the length times the width.
Oh, okay.
And then I drew a picture of a rectangle with the area being represented by little boxes and the perimeter being what's on the outside.
Okay, I really like that. Why did you draw the boxes on there?
To show that that's what fills up the rectangle.
Okay, I like it. So area is what fills it up and perimeter is the around part, or the sides. Okay, what did you draw, Ava?
I said around is the perimeter and
Okay.
inside is the area.
Okay, I like it.
I drew pictures just kind of scribbling all over the inside of the square because it's what's inside, and then lines around the square.
Okay, so y'all both kind of did the same thing
Yeah.
with the lines around it, but you drew squares inside of yours and you colored all of yours in. So, but they're both covering the rectangle, right? And then I see that you put your units here. And what's the difference between the two?
Well, I just remember that's what you put after the number, but I didn't really remember why.
Oh, okay, so we actually will look at that today, but I like that you wrote that down as something you already knew, even if you don't really understand why. Okay, very good. So now let's see if what you guys wrote down was correct. So we've got our anchor here with perimeter on one side and area on the other, and these are going to be our definitions, what it looks like on a rectangle, and then our formulas. Does anyone know what a formula is? We've probably heard the word formula, but what is a formula?
It tells you what to do.
It does tell you what to do, right? It's something where you can plug in your numbers or your values that they give you on a shape, and it can help you get the answer. And it's usually right every single time. So, perimeter is the measure of the distance around a shape. I saw that Ava used the word around, and Emma showed the around with her lines. And then I have it spelling out perimeter around our rectangle, so it's all the sides. And then for our formulas, there's 2 different formulas that we can use to find perimeter. We can do length plus width plus length plus width, but sometimes that takes a long time. So instead, we know that we have 2 of these lengths, so we can just do 2 times the length, and 2 of the widths, which is 2 times the width. And then for area, it's the measure of the amount needed to cover a shape. So I like how you both showed, you said the inside of the shape, which is true, it's the inside. And then y'all both showed that you were covering the shape, either with scribbles or with squares. And then for our formula, it is length times width, like Emma said. Okay, so now let's look at why these formulas work, okay? We're gonna start with perimeter. So I have one rectangle to show you first. So this one's just a plain rectangle. And what do you know about rectangles?
The sides.
Opposite sides are equal.
Okay, opposite sides are equal, right? So these 2 are the same and these 2 are the same. And we know that it's a quadrilateral, right? Which means it has how many sides? 4. It has 4 sides and 4 right angles, right? Okay, but Ava pointed out something very important, that the opposite sides are equal, which helps us to get to our formula of perimeter equals 2 times the length and 2 times the width, because if this is our length, the longer sides, and the width is the shorter sides, we know that there are 2 of these and they're the exact same. So we can just take both of these, so multiply 1 times 2. And the same thing with these, right? And that gets us to our formula. Or we can just add up all the sides, but sometimes that takes a long time. So it's easier to use the multiplying one, but sometimes if it's easier, you can use the other. Okay, then we're gonna look at area on our next rectangle. What do you notice about this rectangle?
There's a lot of squares.
It has squares, right? Like she drew on our anchor at the beginning, right? Okay, so this is talking about area. And do you remember y'all both showed that we have to cover our shape to get the area, or it's the inside, right? So I have some squares and we're gonna cover our rectangle, okay? And I want you guys to count with me because it's gonna be a lot of squares and I may need some help. Okay, y'all ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me grab some more. Y'all keep that 10 in your head or I'll lose my place. Okay, what's next? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Okay, so what's the area of our shape if we said it needs to cover?
24.
It's 24, right? 24 what's?
Squares.
Unit.
We measured
Unit
with
squares.
So you said units squared, right? And this is what we looked at earlier. So that little 2 up there is squared, but why is it called squared? Because what are we measuring with? We're measuring with squares, right? And that's what Emma showed in her drawing earlier. Okay, but that took forever. And do you know what's coming up in a few weeks? The STAR test. I know we don't like it very much, but it's something we have to do. And we want to show them how bright and brilliant we are, but they're not going to give you these square tiles always to measure your rectangle. And your rectangles may be so small that you can't even fit the square tiles in there. So how does this help us get to this formula? And what's something that we could do with these squares that would make it go a little bit faster instead of counting all of them out?
Well, since we know that the opposite sides are equal, we can just know the length and know how many squares that is, and the width and how many squares that is, and then multiply them together. So like how there's 6 squares going this way and 4 going the other way, you can just do 6 times 4.
Okay, so you're just talking about the length and the width. So I could get rid of all of these?
Yes.
Okay. And why does that work?
Since the opposite sides are equal, it just would keep going and repeat itself.
Oh, okay, so like this 4 could move
Mm-hmm.
down and this 6 could move down, right? So we could just multiply these. So it's sort of like we're looking at columns and rows, right? So that gets us to our formula for length times width, okay? So I know we just did this, but why does this formula work?
Because we're repeating, like if we were going to do the 6, we would repeat it 4 times.
Okay.
So it would be 6 times 4.
Times 4,
If
right?
we were to do the 4, we would repeat it 6
It
times.
would be vice versa,
It would be
right?
4 times 6.
Okay, wonderful job. Y'all did really good. Okay, let's get all of our squares. Now we're gonna look at a practice problem. And I'm gonna have one of you read it, or I can read it. It's up to y'all.
I can read it.
Okay, wonderful.
Sasha has a rectangular garden that is 12 feet by 14 feet. She wants to put up a new fence around her garden and wants to cover the garden with fresh soil. How much fencing will Sasha need to go around her garden? How much soil will Sasha need to cover her garden?
So we're looking for perimeter and area. So where do I even start? I would probably start with A because it comes first, right? And what is A asking for again?
Perimeter.
Perimeter. Okay, so how would y'all find perimeter? Remember, we have 2 ways of finding perimeter.
I would do, since it's perimeter, we add them all up.
Okay.
So I would do 14 plus 14 plus 12 plus 12.
Okay, so you would do 14 plus 14 plus 12 plus 12. Okay, those are a lot of big numbers, guys. Okay, so what's 14 plus 14? Does anybody know?
28.
That one's 28. Okay, so we've got 28 right here. Then what's 12 plus 12? Or we can do 28 plus 12, whichever way y'all would like to do it.
12 plus 12 is 24.
Okay, 12 plus 12 is 24. Very good. And then what do we do next?
Add those two together.
Okay, so we add these two. So what's 28 plus 24?
I have to add the 20s together.
Oh,
So
okay.
20 plus 20 is 40.
20 plus 20 equals 40.
And then I know 8 plus 4 is 12.
And then we have 8 plus 4 equals 12. So then what do we add together?
40 and 12.
40 and 12 to get 52. Very good, okay. And then, is that where we stop? No, what do we add at the end?
Feet.
Unit.
We add
Feet.
our unit, which is feet. Very good. And do we put square on this
No.
one? Why not?
It's not a square.
Because you just
Because
add
we're not
them up.
measuring with squares, right? And we're just adding,
One-dimensional.
and it's one-dimensional. Wonderful job. Okay, so we've got 52 feet for our perimeter. So we answered part A, so we can check that one off, right? So we'll put a little check here. Then, what comes next?
Part
Area.
Part B, which is area. Very good. Okay, how would you find area?
Length times width.
Length times width. Okay, so I'm going to write that up here. Length times width.
14 and 12.
And what is length times width? Do you remember what we called this earlier?
Our formula.
Our formula, right? Okay. And does it work every time?
Yeah.
Yes. Why do we know it works every time?
Because if you put the little squares in there, you'd get columns and rows.
All right, and we can just multiply those together to get what covers the shape, right? Okay, very good. Okay, so what's our length in this problem?
14.
14. So we can plug 14 in. And then what's our width?
12.
12. So we got 14 times 12. This is kind of a big one.
I would stack them.
Okay, you would stack them.
Mm-hmm.
So like this. Is that good?
Mm-mm.
Oh, why not?
Because you need to
Can't.
line up the 2 and the 4.
Oh, you have to
and
line
the
them up.
ones together.
Okay, okay. So like the ones need to go together here.
Mm-hmm.
Like this. Okay. And then I'll put my multiplication sign here. Okay, where do I start?
4 times 2.
2 times
4
2
times
times
2. Or 2 times 4, right? What is that?
8.
That's 8. What do I do next?
2
2 times 1.
Right here, 2 times 1?
Across.
Oh, across, because we're just
To the
starting with
14.
that
Uh-huh.
first number. Okay, so 2 times 1, which is?
2.
2. That's an easy one, huh? Okay, what do I do next?
And then you cross off the 2.
Oh, okay, I like it. We cross out our 2.
I have to put a 0,
Zero
because we
under
crossed
the
out the
8.
2 and we're starting over here.
Oh, okay, so we have to put like a
Uh-huh.
placeholder there, right?
And then you do 1 times 4, which is 4.
Okay,
And then 1
Times
times
1.
1.
which is?
1.
An easy one again. 1, okay. And then do I multiply these next?
Oh, we already multiplied.
Oh, you add them. Okay, because we already multiplied. Okay, so what's 8 plus 0?
8.
8. What's 4 plus 2?
6.
6. And what's 1 plus nothing?
1.
1.
1. Okay, so we got 168. That's a quick one. So we've got, okay, I like it. You said it. You kind of whisper yelled. 168 feet squared, right? Okay, and why is it squared again?
Because it's
Because
2-dimensional.
two-dimensional.
Because it's
And
two-dimensional.
we're multiplying.
And we're multiplying. And we could measure with squares. Very good. Okay, so we found both of those. So think about if we were in the STAR test and they did give us squares. Would you want to count out 168 squares? No, that would take way too long. That would take up your whole 4 hours. So we can just do length times width.
The STAR test is 4 hours?
It's a long time.
It's a
Why do
long
they
time.
hate us?
That's what I wonder. Okay, very good. I like what y'all did. Okay, and then we can check off part B, okay? So for this problem, we had our rectangle, and we solved for both perimeter and area. We did both. Okay, very good. Now I'm gonna split y'all up into groups. Your group and your group. And we've got some puzzles here. And I'm gonna demonstrate, this isn't one of the answers, so y'all don't be cheating, okay? But this is what your puzzle should look like. Is you're gonna match a perimeter and an area to one of your rectangles, which gives you the units. This is what it'll look like once you have completed. And there's 3 puzzles in here. But each puzzle looks the same when it comes to its pieces, okay?
Thank you.
And as you are solving, I'm gonna give you each a little whiteboard for if you need to work out anything like we worked out together on this big pink one. And I'll give you each a marker and an eraser. And there's something special about each of your puzzles. So when you notice something special about your puzzle, and each of you have something special that's different.
The color.
Oh, the color is special. That's one thing. But there's another thing I'm thinking of.
I don't know yet what's special.
Okay. It's all right. Okay, Jill, do you have one done?
Mhm.
Very good. Okay.
They're all the same perimeter.
Oh, okay, so you noticed something special. They're all the same perimeter.
Mine are all the same area.
Oh, okay, so yours are all the same area.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. But do all of your rectangles look the same?
Mm-mm.
No, that's interesting. That they can have the same area but look completely different, and they can have the same perimeter and look completely different.
I'm gonna double check that one. That one was left.
Okay, but you're gonna double check.
I'm
I
gonna
like
double
it.
check.
Done.
Okay, y'all are both done. Okay, so now
Nice.
we're gonna present to one another.
Oh, okay.
I
So
can tell you off memorization.
I bet you can. Okay, so I want you to explain to each other, and whoever wants to go first can, but tell us like how you figured out which ones match to which rectangle and how you know that the perimeter and the area go together, because it's a lot of different pieces that you're working with. So who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead.
I took the long pieces and I put them up here.
Okay,
And
I like
then
it.
I sorted all, I had these pieces in a pile, and then I had these pieces in the pile. And once I noticed these are the same, I just had to figure out which one matched
Right.
to this. So each
Mhm.
one of these could go there.
Okay.
And then I looked at my numbers, and I did like 6 times 6 is 36, and then 6. I did times 4, because 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6.
Oh, okay, so you noticed something as well, is that yours has a square, right? Which is a special type of
Rectangle.
rectangle, right? And why is it special?
All 4 are equal.
All four are equal. Equal. All the sides are the same. So even though the opposite sides are still the same, actually all four are the same. Okay, very good.
I matched this with this, and then I knew. I double checked that this went with this.
Just to make sure. But
They
okay,
all are the same.
I like it.
And then I did the same thing here. I did 12 plus 12 plus 3 plus 3, and I got 30, so I knew this one went with this perimeter.
Okay.
And then, I knew this went here, but
Mhm.
I did 12 times 3.
Right.
And then I knew
Which gives us
that was
36.
36.
Okay.
And then I did the same thing. I did, what did I do? Oh, I did 9 times 4 is what I did first, actually. I don't know why I did the area first on this one.
Okay,
but
that's
I
okay.
just did.
I like it.
And I got 36.
Okay.
And then this erased part right here, I did 9 plus 9 plus 4 plus 4.
Okay.
And then I did 4 plus 4 actually was 8. And 9 plus 9 was 18.
Oh,
And so
okay.
then I added them to get
To
26.
get 26. Okay, very good. I like it. Jill, do you have any questions for her?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay, I think she did a great job. Okay, Jill, your turn.
So all my perimeters were the same.
Oh, okay.
So basically, like all my rectangles could have gone with any of them,
Right.
but the areas are different.
Mm-hmm.
So I did this one first, and I basically just did like, I know that 12 plus 12 is 24,
Mm-hmm.
and 5 plus 5 is 10. So I did 24 plus 10 to get 34.
Okay.
And then I did 12 times 5 to get the area, and that gave me 60, so I put that one there.
Okay.
And then, same with this one, 14 plus 14, I knew that was 8. And, 28.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And I knew that 3 plus 3 was 6, so I did 28 plus 6 to give me 34.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did, I knew that 2 14s were 28, and I already had that. So then I just added 14 to that to give me the area instead of going through and like multiplying everything.
Right, because sometimes that can be time consuming.
Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
I'm trying to be speedy on my star.
Right.
And then for this one, I did 9 plus 9 plus 8 plus 8, which is 18 plus 16.
Mm-hmm.
So I got 34. And then I put the 9 on the top and I did the 8 on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And I got 72. But
Good.
actually, since that was my last one, I didn't really have to do much. I just put it there.
Right. Okay, but we checked it just in
Mhm.
case. Okay. Do you have any questions for Jill?
No.
No, I think y'all did a great job. And y'all got them all right, and you knew how to explain them. Okay, very good job. Okay, now I have little flip books for y'all to do as an activity, and we're gonna look at perimeter and area with those. But before we do that, I wanna make sure we feel pretty good about this. So, which one do you like solving for better? Do you think perimeter is easier or more fun, or area?
I like area because it's quicker and it doesn't take as long.
Right, okay, I like it.
I like perimeter because we can combine the numbers.
Right.
And we just can think about the numbers.
And we already
In a
know
bunch
that
of
they're
ways.
the same when they're opposite sides. There's also 2 ways for us to do perimeter, so we can
I like
multiply if we feel good about doing multiplication, or we can just add them together. Okay, I like it. Is there anything that you feel like when your other friends come over here to do this lesson, like, do you feel like they'll be confused on?
Maybe just the multiplication because when you get big numbers, it's kind of hard.
The
Right,
big numbers.
Because there are some that we already have memorized, but some of the bigger ones are a little bit harder and you have to work them out on your whiteboard. Okay, very good. What's something you feel like you understand well?
I understand the units now.
Okay, you understand the units. What do you understand about the units?
For perimeter, it's just one. It's just a U or like feet or something.
Right, because we're just
One
measuring with the
dimensional.
line, right? Okay.
And then for area, it's units squared because we use squares and it's 2-dimensional and there's a length and a width.
Right, okay. I'm glad you understand that because I remember at the beginning on our little piece of manila paper, you said that you knew this, but you didn't really know why it worked or why we do that. Okay, very good. What about you, Jill?
Something that I think it will be easy.
Something you understand well.
Multiplication.
Okay, I think you're really good at multiplication.
That's-
Both of y'all
that's
were
my
pretty
thing.
speedy today. Okay, very good. Okay, we're gonna move on to our flip books.